This video covers our EOC reminders, but first I want to talk to you a little bit about guessing, okay? So it doesn't matter if you write this up at the top or you flip your packet over or something. You don't have to write everything I'm writing, but let's just talk about guessing for a second, okay? That EOC is tomorrow, and I know that every single one of you are going to do fabulous. But let's talk about what happens if you get to a question. Maybe you read it, you have no idea what it's asking. Or maybe it's a really long paragraph, you've read it and you don't understand it. Or you brain fart and you're like, I have no idea what an exponential function means, and I know my teacher would kill me, but this is where I'm at. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, if you get to a problem that freaks you out, move on, okay? You read a problem, you don't understand it, move on, don't let it get to you. Just so you guys know, 2 years ago, because last year they didn't give the EOC, 2 years ago, you needed a 38% correct to pass, okay? We are aiming for 50% because they don't set those passing rates until everybody takes a test. So we're aiming to get half of them correct, okay? So if you get to a problem, and I'm not saying do this on every problem, but if you get to a problem and you absolutely get stuck, tell yourself this is one that you're going to miss, or one you're going to guess on, or one you're going to come back to, and move on. Do not let that one problem trip you up for the rest of the test, okay? Do not let it get to you because you need about half of the test correct. Okay, now let's talk about guessing. So let's say you get to this problem, you've passed it, you come back, you've passed it, you come back, you have no idea. Maybe there is nothing else in the rest of the test to kind of give you a clue, which keep in mind, sometimes as you work more problems, you remember something on a later problem that will help you on an earlier problem. So don't be afraid to use the rest of the test to your advantage. But statistically speaking, because this is a math class, if you guess, you are going to need to guess the same letter every time you guess. Okay, so when you're guessing, your options are A, B, C, and D for most of the test. There are some gridables, but most of the test is multiple choice. Also, just a quick tip for you. I know it's really hard to understand at your age, but there are questions called field test questions. Okay, what they do is they put these test questions in, and so not all of the questions on the EOC actually count for your score. Usually there's about 62-ish problems on the EOC and about 54 that count. Now, this is not always, but this is what they usually do. We don't know what they're going to do this year because they didn't do anything last year. But usually about 8 of them are what's called field test questions. Okay, what that means is they asked a question one time about a farm growing corn. And everybody who lived in a big city had no idea what the problem was asking because they couldn't get past the corn being grown in a field. Okay, so they asked these questions just to see how students do, to potentially frame some questions or reword them for the next year. So if you get to a question, you're like, man, this is hard, tell yourself it's a field test question. Take your best guess and move on. Okay, again, don't assume every question is a field test question because 54 of them count, and you don't know which of those are the field test questions. They don't have little asterisks next to them as like does not count. They put them in the test to see how people do on them. So you can't assume they're all field test questions. But if you get to a really hard one, just tell yourself it's a field test. Maybe make your best guess and move on. So back to guessing. You have 4 options here. I want you right now to decide which of these letters is going to be your go-to guess. For example, my first name is Brittany, so I always guess B. If I don't know what an answer is, I'm going to guess B. You are picking one letter right now, so if you want to, you can write it on the top of this paper. What is your first letter guess going to be? All right, so you get to a problem, you have no idea what you're doing. What letter are you guessing? Now, whatever letter you've chosen is the letter that you are committing to every time you don't know how to solve a problem. Okay, whether it's a field test question or a really hard one or your brain's not working. If I'm saying my answer choice is B and yours does not have to be B, every time I don't know how to do a problem, I'm going to guess answer choice B. Because here's what happens. Again, you don't have to write this down. Let's say I guess B on number 1, number 5, number 27, number 52, 63, and 64. Okay, let's just say, out of these questions, if I've guessed the same thing every time, I have a 1 in 4 chance of these answers being correct. Okay, so maybe this one and this one are both correct. So I just got 2 out of 6 problems correct by guessing the same letter every time. What happens is, if you take those same questions and you guess A, B, C, D, A, B, well, 64 may have been B, it may not have been B, but if you hop around with your guesses, you're also increasing your chances of not getting it right. So as silly as it sounds, if you are guessing, promise me that you will guess the same letter every time, okay? Now, what we need to do is have a backup guess, okay? There's sometimes we get to a problem, they've asked domain and range, and we know range is Y, so we cross out the X's, but now we've crossed out our guessing letter, okay? So have a backup. What's your backup going to be? My husband's name is Austin, so my backup is going to be A. So I'm going to guess B every time I have to guess. If I know the answer is not B, A is going to be my backup guess. So I might be guessing B most of the test. I might be guessing A a little bit, but those are your backups. So your original and your backup. So at the top, I want you to give me which 2 letters. And again, you do not have to pick the same letters as me. Pick the one that speaks to you. But my first guess is always going to be a B. My second guess, my backup, is going to be an A. Okay? So make sure you have those and remember those before you walk into the test tomorrow. I know you're probably not even going to need a guess because you guys are going to do awesome. But in case they put some really hard field test questions in there for you, tell yourself it's a field test question. Take a deep breath, make your guess, and move on. On this EOC Reminders page, we're going to work 3 problems. So if you will scroll with me to question 12 on page 5. We're going to work 3 problems all on this page, actually. So 12, 13, and 15. You're going to have the rest of class to talk and figure out your guessing answer if you haven't already and finish these up. So 12, ask for the positive solution to this equation. We have 4x squared plus 12x equals 135. So x squared is a quadratic. That means it goes like this. Solution, therefore, is my x-intercept. So I'm going to plug this into y equals 4x squared plus 12x. And then I'm going to take 135 and move it to the other side. So I am changing sides, changing signs. Okay, so it's 135 on the right, so it's a negative 135 on the left. I'm going to click graph. My x-intercepts are here and here, here and here. Now, they only want the positive one. Positive x's are on the right side. So I'm going to click second trace, option 2. I'm going to scroll until I get to about the x-intercept on the right side. It says left bound down at the bottom, so I'm going to click left, 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 enter. It says right bound, so I click right 6 times. Remember, we're using these right arrow keys, right, 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 right. Enter, enter. And my x value is 4.5. So in Schoology, you're going to type in 4.5. On your Scantron, that this one would be, if this was a test question, because it was at one point, you would write 4, the decimal point, and the 5, and you would bubble them in. Next, we're going to look at number 13. They ask us which expression is equivalent to 24x squared minus 22x plus 5. So this is another one that we can factor. We can also work backwards to see which of these is going to give me the correct answer. Remember, that last number comes from multiplying the 2 last numbers. So with A, we have 5 times 1, which would give us a positive 5. B, we have negative 5 times negative 1, which would give us a positive 5. C, we have negative 5 times negative 1, which would give us a positive 5. And D, we have 5 times 1, which would give us a positive 5. So all of these are options. Now, you can use the box to work backwards and factor. You can use the box to work forwards and like put these on the outside and see which one gives you this. You can also take your answer, your original, and your answer choices and compare them. Remember, we did this the other day. We're looking for one graph. Okay, so I put my original and an answer choice. I click graph. There's one. I don't see another one, but we learned our lesson last time, so I'm going to zoom out. So there's one. And there's another one. I don't know if you caught it, but like two things popped in. So A is not going to be my correct answer. On B, I'm going to change it. So original. Oh, hello. I promise A is still not right. I'm sure y'all were just screaming at me. And then B. So there's one. Oh, it was kind of hard to tell. Maybe I click second table. I'm going to go compare my Y's. Are my Y's the same? Nope, they're close, but not quite. All right, so answer choice C going in here. We'll see if it likes me. No, I'm not going to chance it. Let me see if I zoom in normally. So there's the first one. I don't see another one. Let me look at my Y's. 5, 7, 57. Yep, those are all looking the same. Let's double check answer choice D, just to do our due diligence, because we promised Ms. Hawkins we would. Look at my graph, or if you think it's faster, just compare the Y's on the table. Oh, yep, there's one and there's two. So B is my correct answer. Again, you could also use the box, put your answer choices on the outside of the box, see which one fills in to be this, or factor this and see which one works backwards to be those. Last one, number 15. What is the value of the y-intercept of the graph of h of x equals 29 raised to the, parentheses 5.2 raised to the x? Now you can put this in your graph, in your calculator, but remember the y-intercept is just the first number, guys. So 29 would be the number that I'm looking for. It's the number you would type into Schoology, and it's what you would write and then bubble on your answer document. So finish these reminders up. I know you guys are going to do fabulous on that EOC. I am not even worried. Remember that I believe in you, and I'm so sorry I can't be there with you, but I know you're going to be fabulous because we've put in a lot of work this year, a lot of hard work, and I know that you can do it. So good luck tomorrow. Love you all.